Today we are covering designing Microsoft Azure infrastructure solutions. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Case study. This is a case study. Case studies are not timed separately. You can use as much exam time as you would like to complete each case. However, there may be additional case studies and sections on this exam. You must manage your time to ensure that you are able to complete all questions included on this exam in the time provided. To answer the questions included in a case study, you will need to reference information that is provided in the case study. Case studies might contain exhibits and other resources that provide more information about the scenario that is described in the case study. Each question is independent of the other questions in the case study. At the end of this case study, a review screen will appear. This screen allows you to review your answers and to make changes before you move to the next section of the exam. After you begin a new section, you cannot return to this section. To start the case study, to display the first question in this case study, click the Next button. Use the buttons in the left pane to explore the content of this case study before you answer the questions. Clicking these buttons displays information such as business requirements, existing environment, and problem statements. If the case study has an All Information tab, note that the information displayed is identical to the information displayed on the subsequent tabs. When you are ready to answer a question, click the Next button to return to the exam. Return to the next question. These are the instructions for the real exam, so you can follow these instructions also. Existing environment, technical environment. The on-premises network contains a single Active Directory domain named contoso.com. Contoso has a single Azure subscription. Existing environment, business partnerships. Contoso has a business partnership with Fabricam Inc. Fabricam uses access some Contoso applications over the Internet by using Azure Active Directory, Azure AD guest accounts. Requirements: Planned changes. Contoso plans to deploy two applications named App 1 and App 2 to Azure. Requirements: App 1. App 1 will be a Python web app hosted in Azure App Service that requires a Linux runtime. Users from Contoso and Fabricam will access App 1. App 1 will access several services that require third-party credentials and access strings. The credentials and access strings are stored in Azure Key Vault. App 1 will have 6 instances. They are in the East US Azure region and 3 in the East US Azure region and 3 in the West Europe Azure region. App 1 has the following data requirements. First, each instance will write data to a data store in the same availability zone as the instance. Second, data returned by any App 1 instance must be visible to all App 1 instances. App 1 will only be accessible from the Internet. App 1 has the following connections requirements. First, connections to App 1 must pass through a Web Application Firewall (WAF). Second, connections to App 1 must be active load balanced between instances. Third, all connections to App 1 from North America must be directed to the East US region. All other connections must be directed to the West Europe region. Every hour, you will run a maintenance task by invoking a PowerShell script that copies files from all the app1 instances. The PowerShell script will run from a central location. Requirements App2 App2 will be a net app hosted in app service that requires a Windows runtime. App2 has the following file storage requirements. First, save files to an Azure storage account. Second, replicate files to an on-premises location. Third, ensure that on-premises clients can read the files over the LAN by using the SMB protocol. You need to monitor App2 to analyze how long it takes to perform different transactions within the application. The solution must not require changes to the application code. Application development requirements. Application developers will constantly develop new versions of App1 and App2. The development process must meet the following requirements. First, a staging instance of a new application version must be deployed to the application host before the new version is used in production. Second, after testing the new version, the staging version of the application will replace the production version. Third, the switch to the new application version from staging to production must occur without any downtime of the application. Identity requirements. Contoso identifies the following requirements for managing Fabricam access to resources. First, every month an account manager at Fabricam must review which Fabricam users have access permissions to App1. Second, accounts that no longer need permissions must be removed as guests. Third, the solution must minimize development effort. Fourth, uk.cocertification.simulator.questionpool.plist at 1863E940. Security requirement. All secrets used by Azure services must be stored in Azure Key Vault. Services that require credentials must have the credentials tied to the service instance. The credentials must not be shared between services. Question is, you need to recommend a solution that meets the data requirements for App 1. What should you recommend deploying to each availability zone that contains an instance of App 1? Option A, an Azure Cosmos DB that uses multi-region writes. Option B, an Azure Data Lake Store that uses GeoZone Redundant Storage (GZRS). Option C, an Azure SQL database that uses active geo-replication. Option D, an Azure storage account that uses GeoZone Redundant Storage (GZRS). Correct answer is option A,